moccasin, that soft, gentle protector of feet. No glamour in its continuous flow of hide, formed, turned, stretched, stitched out of one who gave the ultimate gift for another being of the earth. Reverence, gratitude, humble sacrifice. Moccasin, resilient and unassuming, shunning acclaim in its outpouring of love. A revered and revering elder, treading with gentleness, teacher of gratitude and generosity, shielding both wanderer and the earth upon which she wanders. On April 27th, 2015, Robin Wall Kimmerer addressed the United Nations General Assembly as part of the UN's commemoration of International Mother Earth Day. Her address was entitled, "Healing Our Relationship with Nature." Kimmerer, a member of the Potawatomi Nation, went to her tribal elder prior to speaking to this prestigious, influential body to ask their advice. They gave her only one word: moccasin. She was surprised, but realized quickly that for them, the indigenous people, the moccasin represents walking gently upon the land, upon the earth. This earth which Rossi read about. The earth who is the first mother. The earth who feeds and holds and embraces us to this day, despite the abuses generations of humans have heaped upon her. The now deceased Pope Francis once said, "The earth herself is burdened and laid waste and is among the most abandoned and maltreated of our poor." End quote. The moccasin reminds indigenous people to walk softly on the earth, respect her, receive her gifts, but not without gifts of our own in return, remembering that nothing of value is bought or sold. We must tend to her brokenness if we ever wish to heal the brokenness of ourselves. One can hear the origin story, which Rossi read, as culminating with the creation of humans, with our species being the masterpiece, the pinnacle. Or one can hear this narrative from the context of a vast, complex, inspiring cosmic birth, a birth that has taken over 1 billion years, rendering Homo sapiens as the last, the youngest, and the least experienced members of this stunning, ever-expanding, pulsating web of life. Those telling the Christian story have mostly chosen to tell the creation account as a human culmination and dominion story. This rendering of how we and our cosmos came to be places us at the center, at the helm. As we look around, it becomes more and more dismaying to observe how this pinnacle of creation is exhibiting gross carelessness, callousness, lack of judgment, even cruelty in how it relates to the earth and to other created beings. How have we landed here? Where have we gone wrong? If we read Genesis 1 as a grand unfolding of intricate, interrelated, interdependent beings, rather than an account of how humans are the highest, the brightest, the ones who rule, we must shift from anthropocentrism to ecocentrism. In other words, we can no longer afford to center ourselves on this planet with complete disregard for all other forms of life. foundational to the predominant Christian understanding of the origin story from Genesis has been the translation of the word radah. It has been translated as rule over, or have dominion over, or at the very least, to be in charge, to manage, to have governance. What has been overlooked intentionally or not intentionally is the fact that the word radah can be translated very differently. It can indeed refer to the act of treading down or subjugation, but especially in the case of the origin story, it can be linked to the idea of humans representing God, therefore displaying wisdom and care and sharing a camp, rather than destruction, exploitation. Do you see why those who translated Scripture over the millennia, usually kings and rulers and other men in authority, why they have chosen one translation over the other? They have chosen dominion rather than responsibility, thereby linking it to power and to control. It has typically been to their benefit, as they led crusades and expanded empires and plundered the earth. The translation from which Rossi read, the charge to humans is to steward what has been created, to offer responsible care for it. There's one section of this scripture text that is immensely intriguing to me, and I'm going to reread it for you. God says to all that breathes, "Look, I give you every seed-bearing plant and every tree on the earth as food, and to all the animals of the earth and the birds of the air and the things that crawl on the ground, everything that has a living soul in it. I give all the green plants for food." Well, that grabbed my attention because my early teaching on the creation story that the only species that was given a soul was the Homo sapien. However, in this translation, everything that breathes is described as having a living soul in it. If that is the case, and I can't see why it would not be, what does this tell you about Creator? What can this teach us about how we relate to other living beings? On one level, this connects us closely with all of creation. And on the other level, this removes us from our anthropocentric position towards Creator, placing us squarely in the middle of everything that breathes, all created being. This understanding of soul makes it possible for everything to be worthy of sustenance and respect. Could this make us more thoughtful in our attitude to all that breathes? Loosely linked to this understanding is the reason why some people are vegetarians, for example. I'm not here to promote that idea, but that is one reason. I would recommend reading Robin Wall Kimmerer's book, Braiding Sweetgrass, to gain a perspective on this, a much broader perspective. Foundational to indigenous understanding is the concept of giving and receiving, not taking more than we need, and gratitude. Always gratitude. In our consumerist Western lifestyle, we have grown accustomed to taking without thought. We're careless, believing that we have the right, the privilege, the power to consume what we want to eat when we want to eat it. We've lost respect. Not only do we think we can eat what and how much we want, we think we can mistreat nature with impunity. We can pave over natural habitats. We can dam water to meet our electrical needs without giving any thought to entire species who lose their ability to thrive. In other words, to breathe. This is what rulers do. This is what those who exercise dominion over do. But in order to show respect for Creator, we must learn respect for created. One without the other is hollow. Another significant turn of phrase in this origin story is the very last line that Rossi read. God saw everything that had come into being. It was supremely good. Everything was supremely good. The origin story is one of blessing, not of curse. It is one of togetherness, not of hierarchy. It is a story about the entire, complex, multifaceted whole being amazingly good. Not only humans, everything. This sentence represents the great divine equalizer. We humans stand as one of many who make up this beautiful world, this beautiful whole. This underscores interconnection and interdependence, therefore pointing compellingly toward mutual respect. But we don't observe this in the world around us. What we experience is a calloused use of things, and we have called them things rather than our brothers and sisters. This simplifies and rationalizes our actions. If you've read the writings of St. Francis, or know of them, you'll know that he referred to the sun and the moon as brother and sister, and he regarded the birds of the forest and the flowers of the field as his next of kin. There is no rulership there. There is no entitlement or hierarchy. One lives in gratitude for and in relationship with the other. That is harmony. Even as we are given green plants for food, as our text states, we have a responsibility to be thoughtful, to be grateful, to offer gifts back to Mother Earth. Not gifts of fertilizer or advanced cultivative practices or chemicals, but gifts of responsible stewardship. My father was a farmer for most of the years that I lived at home with my parents. And he was one of the very few farmers in our area that would allow his fields to lie fallow, meaning every 7th year he would not plant a crop in order to allow the soil to regenerate, to replenish itself naturally. This is giving back. If you want to learn more about how to give back to our natural world, even for those of us who are not farmers, I highly recommend Robin Wall Kimmerer's most recent book, The Serviceberry. In order to make progress in our relationship with nature, as Kimmerer charged the United Nations, we must let go of this frenzy to be the center of things, to center ourselves on this planet. In order to survive, we must learn an ecocentrism, an ecocentric way of living. We can do this, but it is not without great effort and wise guidance. This is possible only if we open ourselves to those who have long practiced this reverence for Mother Earth, and as we spend time in her presence, wrapped in her loving motherly embrace, thinking about her for her, or thanking her for her sustenance throughout generations. If we fail to do this, we will lose connection more and more. We see our lost connection with Mother Earth as we observe great fires sweeping regions where no buildings and no concrete should ever have been introduced. We see our lost connection with Mother Earth as we follow the local discussion about massive building projects such as the ever-resurfacing SEDA, or the Southeast Development Area Project. We see our lost connection with Mother Earth as we watch in horror what is being done to our siblings in this nation. Brutal treatment, lengthy detentions, unjust deportations, to name just a few. We observe it in the policies that prioritizes a few people a few select Homo sapiens with complete disregard for the majority of beings living in this country and inhabiting this planet. And yet, we are not without hope. We are not without hope because we are not beyond metamorphosis. Oh, it may take time in the cocoon, the place where all we know dissolves so that something new can emerge. It will take letting go of what we have known, what we have trusted, what we have placed our hope in. It will take trusting Spirit to know and to show the way. The first things those of us who adhere to a Christian theology must do is to acknowledge and grieve our complicity, whether it's witting or unwitting, in promoting rulership of and dominion over Mother Earth. In our origin story, if our origin story is one of entitlement, anthropocentrism, and subjugation, we must confess this. We must turn away from this. Closely linked with this is our exchange of soul for consumption. We cannot steward either our soul or the soul of Mother Earth while carelessly consuming her gifts. In more traditional language, we cannot claim to honor and follow Creator while simultaneously refusing to steward creation, or that is created. This is the spirit of Creator. We must come to a place of reverent gratitude for the gifts of Mother Earth, diligently seeking ways to give back. As we celebrate our physical mothers today, let us also give thanks to our Creator for Mother Earth. Along with Robin Wall Kimmerer, and in accordance with the life-giving, expansive origin story, I invite you to join me in learning how to heal our relationship with nature so that we, in turn, can contribute to humanity's healing. How do we learn this? The moccasin reminds indigenous people and all of us to walk softly on the earth. Respect her. Receive her gifts, but not without gifts of our own in return. We must tend to her brokenness if we ever wish to heal the brokenness that we ourselves endure. May Creator help us make it so.